Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yonna Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yonna Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yonna Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yonna Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yonna Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yonna head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yonna branch located countrywide near you.
To take this opportunity to welcome you all, and I also take cognizance of some of the victim-led organizations that are here, and I must also thank the various victim-led organizations for organizing this. I think it's timely, although impromptu, but very timely, because we all know what is on the table. All of us are aware of what brought us here. I mean, we've been opportune to read on the media on the victim amnesty that was given by the TRRC Amnesty Committee in terms of ensuring that Sabally be given amnesty. I think that is outrageous, and it is discouraging and disheartening to hear. And against that background, that is why this meeting has been organized, to have our voices heard and also to say what we felt as an organization, as an institution. And I think I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come for this meeting, and I hope the deliberations will be well spoken. Thank you so much. Thank you.
dañ fi dajee tey ngir am xol bu naxari ak xol bu jeex ñuy mu mel ni rek ñun duñ Gambians parce que su fekkee doomi Gambia lañ lu ñoo war a jël te mu affect ñu dañu war a oo ñu waxtaan ci loolu number one la ba pare lu mel ni affaire yi Sabally pour ñu jox ko amnesty te ñun victimes yi nga xam ne ñun lañ rey suñ jëkkër yi lieutenant Fafa Ñang lieutenant Dot Fall lieutenant Basiru Baro Sergeant Ñang nga neem leen ñoom ñaata ñoom lieutenant Sey ñëpp ñu rey leen rey boo xam ne bi Sabally di taxaw di ko wax regretu si dara daf ne ñii ennemis lañ te ennemi soo ko tiyee dafa mel ni soo tiyee jaan da nga war a dog boppa bi soo loolu noonu rek dafa dog xol kooku soo ko waroon a jégal sax doo ko jégala ci soo lan moo tax kon ñoom ñu ñëw ak lii xanaa dañ ñu bugg a jeekali after bi nga xamee ne ñun dañ dee ba pare di dox soo loolu mënuñ koo understand te mënuñ koo accept te duñ ko accept loolu lañ bugg a président Adama Barrow xam ne ñun doomi réew mi lañ nañu jox suñ cër jox ñu suñ wàlla bàyyee ñu li nga xam ne ñun ñoo ko moom na toog ak ñun victime si mu wax ak ñun mu xam ñun lan lañ bugga gis nga suñ buggee ñu baalal nit ñi dañoo accept ne liñ def dafa wrong te ñu ngi koo regret te du amati waaye ki nga xam ne dafa taxaw mu wane ne ñii enemies lañ and they will still be enemies xanaa sa ennemi sax soo ko jàppee mun nga koo dem nga teg ko benn place waaye loolu doyu la da nga fiil ne kii danga ko war a rey ak rey ni miitee nga bàyyi jigéen boobu noonu mu toog ñaata at ak ay doomam di struggle government bi xanaa xamuñ si ñun liñ jaar dañ nekk ay xale yu ndaw di dunda lu métti suñ parents si rek ñoo ñu si fekkoon kenn ñeme ñu ta wax mu métti lool soo su fekkee ne day ñëw ba léegi ñun ñëpp ñoo ko vote in mu toog lu tax duñu jox suñ cër te ñun ay jigéen lañ moom moo ñu war a dimbale moom suñ caameñ la lu tax muy joxe amnesty ak amnesty bi lañ nangu wuñ ko tey nangu wuñ ko ëllëg Sana Sabally kenn du ko amnesty because moom regrettu dara loo xam ne loolu la def soo maa ngee wax président Adama Barrow ne ngir yàlla na toog mu wax ak victim center na toog mu wax ak njabooti ñi nga xam ne November 11 lañ November 11 dafa métti it was the first of its kind si biir Gambia mu nekk lu métti torop ñuy ut suñ jëkkër yi gisuñ leen ñuy wër fu nekk di daw ñaata fan man maa ngi ut Sajin Ñang ñaata fan maa ngi amee suma xale yi ñu nekk lu ndaw may dugga fu nekk benn léet ma xam ne ñu ne dañ ko rey man maa ngee jooy de yi dot faal ndekete moom si ñi rey si la bokk ak ñoom sëy boobu noonu mu ngi ngénte 1 week rek la am xale bi ñun demoon nañ si ngénte bi soo lu tax moom mënoon ñoo jox suñ cër en tant que doomi Gambia lu tax mënu ñoo jox suñ cër en tant que ay jigéen yoo xam ne dañ daj lu métti dunda ak lu métti ak suñ njaboot yi kenn fekk si wuñu fi suñ daji jëkkër yi sax ñeme ñuñ koo announce kenn ñeme ñu ta ñoo jaale suñu kenn ñeme ñu ta ñoo dimbale suñu ba léegi nii waaye président Barrow ñu ngi laa wax ne la ngir yàlla li nga xam ne ñun mooy suñ aha ak suñu yeleef balaa ngaa jox keneen aha ak yeleef boo xam ne moomu ko jox ñu suñ bos njëkka jërëjëf.
Victims say no to TRRC's amnesty approval for Sana Sabally. Victims of November 11, 1994, together with other families of victims of various human rights violations during the regime of Yahya Jammeh and a coalition of Gambian organizations condemned in the strongest possible terms the approval of an amnesty for former AFPRC Vice Chairman Sana Sabally by the TRRC Amnesty Committee and commissioners, and argued the Gambia government through the Minister of Justice to disregard this recommendation. On 24th and 25th April 2019, Sana Sabally appeared before the TRC and confessed to killing at least 12 Gambian National Army soldiers accused of overthrowing or staging a counter-coup against the just installed AFPRC regime. Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, Lieutenant Jibril Sey, Lieutenant Abdoulaye Dot Fall, and Sergeant Ibrahima Ibu MCC, Lieutenant Buba Jame, Sergeant Fafanyang, Lieutenant Lamin Dabo, Sergeant Basiru Kamara, and Lieutenant Bakari Sane, alias Nyancho, as well as Lieutenant Abdoulaye Bah and Cadet Amadou Silla. In his testimony, Sana Sabally did not apologize to the families of the soldiers that were executed, as he claimed they were in a situation of war and he saw them as enemies, not captured soldiers that were to be treated humanely. He said that he ordered for the bodies to be taken and be buried at the Yundum barracks and acknowledged that they were not given the proper Muslim burials or the proper burials that they were entitled to. I quote, "They were not entitled to decent treatment as they were enemies, and enemies cannot be treated properly," in the words of Sana Sabally. And quote again, "I grew up without my father, without his love and companionship, which was very difficult for me and my family. A day doesn't go by without me being traumatized by the events and mannerism in which him and his colleagues, his companions, were gruesomely killed on the day of November 11. His death was sanctioned by a coward and carried out by an unrepentant, remorseless, and degenerate individual. My family deserves justice, so do all the families affected by Sana Sabally and his henchmen," said Abubakar Barrow, son of Lieutenant Basir Barrow. Abdul Aziz Barrow, rather. In his final report, which was publicly released on December 24, 2021, the TRC found Sana Sabally, Edward Singate, Yankuba Toure, and Yahya Jammeh as perpetrators bearing the greatest of responsibilities for the crimes committed on November 11, 1994. They were found responsible for the torture, assault, beating, and extrajudicial killing of the 11 GNA soldiers and tortured, brutalized, and arbitrary 11 GNA soldiers and the torture, beating, arbitrary, unlawful detention of 5 private soldiers. Sana Sabally was found responsible for subjecting numerous people to human rights violations. The announcement of the amnesty comes as a shock to the victims, given that according to Section 19, subsection 3 of the TRRC Act, Sana Sabally should not qualify for amnesty because the crimes he committed form part of crimes against humanity. This therefore renders the approval illegal and thus should not be acted on by the government of the Gambia. Victims also wish to express their outrage and displeasure at the manner in which they received the information, which was through the media yet again. There was no prior consultation with families of direct victims who have been forced to live through the trauma of Sana Sabally and Kerr's brutal acts for 3 years. Victims further decry the lack of transparency and zero victim participation in the amnesty policy development and approval process, and demand that this be disclosed to the victim who wish to know and victim organizations forthwith. I quote, Sana Sabally confessed to killing our husbands. If they say they are going to set him free, we do not have the power to stop it per se, but we are not happy about it. If we have not forgiven him and cannot forgive him, setting him free is going to be traumatizing and painful for us. The entire family is suffering from a pain that cannot be measured truly. Stated by Mbaya Demba, widow of Lieutenant Jibril Say. We would like to remind the Commission that victims are not incidental, but bona fide stakeholders with a role to play and the right to participate in the transitional justice process, including any amnesty process. This has been reiterated on several occasions, yet the Commission and the government continue to disregard the victims over and over again. Lack of transparency in the amnesty approval process is abysmal and contrary to the Never Again slogan and spirit. We demand that Sana Sabally's amnesty approval is disregarded and warn the government that we will fight against this and any other decision which denies us the right to justice and a say in the transitional justice processes in the Gambia. Signed, Abubakar Abdul Aziz Barrow for the family of Basiru Barrow, Abdullah J. Dabo for Lieutenant Lamin Dabo, Awanjai for Abdullah Dotfal, and Edward E.M. Cisse, Dauda E.S. Cisse for the family of Ibrahim M. Cisse, and Fatou Jame for the family of Buba Jame, Fatou Mane for the family of Bakari Mane, and Fatou Sow for the family of Fafa Nyang, Aissatou Morong for Basiru Kamara, and Mati Seka for Abdoulaye Ba, Mbaya Damba for Jibril Sey, and Mamadou Silla for Amadou Silla, other victims of human rights violations under the Yaya Jammeh's regime, civil society organizations like Aniket, Fantanka, Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations, Solo Sandeng Foundation, WAVE, and WILL. The statement ends.
Ntetum Aissatou Maroneti, Kabo Sergeant Basiru Kamara la family to. Ndolde kabringa nyenku moy Sana Sabally la ko moy akata nyenni ku ya me yalon ko mandandula sotwara. Ndol nga amirambe mem moy la ani nata mem moy wol manke kilingote katu mo na e ku kela mi yalon ko amambe te ya janni tebe lole ba fola ko nga bulale ay ku ke menula ini wolle kanyo jenyo ya folo barin tolma woso kabiri wo ma sakunda folo min tambeta foka na fo hansa nyima sakunda ko min be keri ntol nene ma ne se wo soto je alay luolunda ninni ko ya kallale naka wuli ya jamela jamano saya keta men han furiyani ba mutala ikam mabu bungole kono mbuka hanye ya tandi ko min ko be furiyan le nin nata wo ko le ya be ta ke fa nata bang sai nata foko alinga jibe sai ngama sakunda do to mbo minni wodo mankiliya yara fandum mbota min kono wode fango lefta fese ala mbulata min kono katu mi e fata do mandindrom wala maka foko ise loye dia mo fo ye bulo wulinde ka tandi dunya la ko min ko mbe nyimba tala kono bar na manke woti femme fata ngamira sai na fango dunta ko le yakon min tambita parce que ika fole abukake inin kumbodron ale luolunda ntolni ni ko yala kala na ka wuli batani bata koleyanin koleya kuma di matije mbe dibo kono dron sai na fango dunta dibo kono parce que sai tentimbe tembo mindo malo mune be kering ani mune kake nka moy le ko nyinneke ntol symbole mu nyunu minuti kuma bi ka foye min sal tan din tol lako ntol nyanta tala nyen silolla wara manyan tala nyen silolla wo bu ka tara kering sai ntol wo kan bata doron koleya doron woto ala fo barway ko ay fero ken ay njibe ay bonni moltema woto ay bonni dunya moltema ntol fa nganna problème mol kem fa may bang bari ate man pare ka tandi dunya la ko min ko ntol be batar nembe kumbol hani falo na dun tela kankan ko na ila kankan tinya ibuka fa ikata kankan tiyo yale ya fa ila falo yin kankan tinya surtout hada madi mi ngalon ko ananiyo ya famuta ya fa ya sare iman la fala moli yaro isa kumbo sanji mo anen fula o fali ngoyke sayin kumbo na ko tak min jawiyata ntol man da hasoto be batar na hanibi woto alafo baroy ko ne a taranun ko ate de maro kelanye ay bon nen duniya molte ma bam fanga je be rokem fangay katu ko leya waratale bata warata kumbo warata saya kunan ata bayila moy ni la ma woni la ma foyefa bar ni be fala fana ngamer ni fata sila sen wala fana mfeseyata bar ye mo fa ko wulo hani la wulu kendo ita fayla dinko ko no nyame yen tol keli fay wala nyama hani say nimbata victime de Gambia economy yalon ko ada hata victime o bebe kumbola bebe jakalde hani bi dal diya mota jamfala na diya mota jamfala bake amiran sa dan janne tono ko hakilma al sa tente yamira baro fa sa amira na fa la mole bulata nyen kono bi abe min kele woni nyen tekele yar bara bala hajo doronna baro nin tabe sirinne ameta kabira mamman saya fa man saya tan sa en na be sirin kata beda membe wala bara mallo malo bar kabirin karte fayo site ko ngadi ala mobe la diala mun kamma fon sabo bata ko bar sayin da bata la fata woto ngamobe konto ngamobe tentu ngamobe jeyi ala baraka baka nadi amota tambila no nyen wala mun nakamo
was killed was disappeared in 2013 April along with Bahawa Cham and we later found out that they were killed. They were captured in Senegal, and we later found out that they were killed in Kanilai. And as a victim of human rights violation, I think we identify with the pain that the November 11 victims are expressing today, the pain of injustice. Like Mohammed said, they were the first victims from 1994. And all their children now are married, most of them, almost all of them, with grandchildren. So they would have been grandparents. They were here, and they're still fighting for justice, and we are still fighting for justice. And I don't think that any government has the right to deny us that justice. You cannot tell us that you are forgiving somebody on our behalf, particularly without consulting with us and asking us and taking our take and participating. The process, like Mohammed mentioned in the statement, was very opaque. The amnesty policy that was developed in January, we had an amnesty committee that was constituted from the beginning of the TRRC. There has not been any amnesty policy until very recently, I believe last month, which for us was that the amnesty policy was not given much weight. We went through the reparations policy and regulations. There was a lot of work that was done by that committee. There was a validation process. We were involved. We were consulted, and we agreed on the policy. Even though we have issues in the at the end of the day, but we are talking about policies here. So no victim family, no victim organization, no civil society organization was consulted in this process. That is wrong. And this is a recurring theme since the beginning. of the TRRC, victims being disregarded. And again, we say that in the statement, we are not incidental in this process. There will be no TRRC or any transitional justice mechanism without victims. So you cannot disregard or dismiss the participation of victims. The other issue that we want to point out is that, you know, the Sabally, I mean, the justification for the Sabally process, I cannot understand. What we understand, and again, this is all hearsay that we are used to. We heard it from the media. There has not been any communication so far, just to be clear, that we did not get this information from the TR. They have not even had, it's been submitted to the minister, and they have not even had the decency, the commissioners have not had the decency to even tell us that we have done this. We have to find out from the media. That is totally wrong. And what we have had is the justification is that he has shown remorse, he has been truthful, and he has been punished. Truthful remorse, we do not agree. The families don't agree that Sabally was remorseful. He said, they have all said it. He said they were enemies. And he said in his statement that if it was to happen again, he would do it all over again. So Sabally was not remorseful. So how can you forgive him? And for the punishment, yes, he was victimized. He went through hardship. But that is for another different situation. That is another illegal victimization that he should take up with the government. It has nothing to do with the November 11 for them to grant him amnesty. So we are urging the minister that, the government through the minister, that this should be disregarded. This recommendation should be disregarded, and we will fight and make sure that this is not implemented. This is not a recommendation we expected from the Commission. I must say that I am personally very disappointed and disheartened after all the hard work that was done by the Commission. For them to come up with this is really disheartening and disappointing, and really for me shameful. And I think that for me personally, I'm not talking on behalf of anybody else, I really put this to the manner in which the Sabally testimony was presented. Sabally was romanticized because he went through sexual and gender-based violation in his testimony. The testimony focused on the violations that that was committed against him, and not the violations that he committed so heartlessly, so brutally, without remorse, without apology. So I think that this stage was set by the lead counsel at that time to really romanticize and turn Sabally into a hero. And we saw in the social media and everywhere else how Sabally was being hailed for what he went through, when so many others went through the same thing or even worse. That is wrong. And I think the commissions really should reconsider themselves and what they are putting us through by making this recommendation. I don't believe it can be revoked, but really, this has put a dark spot on the good work that the commissioners have done for this country. And I really, I am ashamed that this has happened. So I will not go any further, but I just want to clarify one thing that has been a recurring theme in the statements here. The recommendations, the approval for amnesty was not done by the government. It is the work of the TRRC, Amnesty Committee, and the commissioners. So when we are talking about Adama Barrow and holding him responsible, it's because he is the head. So when we are talking about what is happening here, it's what we are saying is the TRRC's Amnesty Committee and the commissioners, their approval of the amnesty for Sabally is despicable, and we will not accept that. And we are taking this opportunity, before the government has the opportunity to do anything about it, to urge them to disregard this statement. Some of us are calling back to Adama Barrow because we feel that we have been failed over and over again by the government of the Gambia when it comes to victims and victims caring for victims, taking care of victims, and victim participation in the process. So just to clarify, when we say Adama Barrow, we are right now, the issue at hand, we are talking about the TRRC's amnesty approval for Sabally, which has been submitted to the ministry. We know that the ministry has yet to come up with the white paper. They are working on it. And we are not saying that they are going to implement, but we are preempting that. We are urging them to not even consider it as an element to be implemented, We are not saying that it's been implemented. So just to clarify about the specific issue, but in general, I don't think that we are happy with most of the process and how victims have been treated throughout the transitional justice process, and how we feel that the government is dismissing and disregarding victims at all times. I will end here and hand over the mic to Sheriff, the chair of the Victims Committee, to talk about it in a short statement, because yesterday we woke up to two disheartening, very, very disheartening news. The first was the amnesty for Sabally, and the second was the military releasing the Aliu Jeng, the two junglers, Aliu Jeng and Ismaila Jammeh. That is a separate issue, but I will let Sirif expand on that.
First of all, I just want to make a brief statement on the release of the junglers, the Aliu Jeng and Ismaila Jammeh by the Gambia National Army. If we can recall, the junglers were released immediately after the fall of Yahya Jammeh in 2017. 6 of them were detained by the Gambia Armed Forces. 4 were released during the TRRC process, and the 2 were continue to be in detention at the Gambia National Army. For some reason that the commission hold them on account that they failed to provide a full disclosure to the violations that were committed during the Jammeh era. That being the case, they had been detained for 5 good years without any charge, and to put them before a court of law. First of all, I think that is wrong and unlawful. I mean, we can only blame the Ministry of Justice for not doing justice, I mean, to the plight of the victims. On Tuesday, a lawyer from the Gambia National Army called the Victim Center, I mean, trying to arrange a very, very short meeting to meet the Victim Center. In fact, they planned to come to the Victim Center, but later they called in the afternoon and decided that the Victim Center should go to the GAF headquarters on Wednesday, this last Wednesday. I mean, we were called. It was very prompt. We don't even know the agenda of the meeting. I mean, we went to the GAF headquarters. I mean, we were just being informed that the army, I mean, were going to release the junglers because they had a series of consultations with the Ministry of Justice regarding the fate of the 2 junglers that were held in their custody. I mean, their continuous detention, I mean, there is a violation of their right without putting them before a court of law. And I think one can only blame the Ministry of Justice for that, because the army is not, it's not a judiciary institution to put them before a court of law. We understand that situation. But we have been only called to be informed about their intention to release the junglers. We have no formal consultation, you know, as regard to the decision that they are going to take. But we will further elaborate on that circumstances as we are going to have more consultation with the wider victims community, including the victims that were affected, to see how we can, I mean, bring them into terms with the current realities of the affairs of our state. So, I mean, there will be subsequent press statement to that effect, I mean, when we concluded that consultation with the general victim community, including all the sister victims-led organizations. We will come up with a fitting response to that effect. So I just want you to understand it that way. I mean, our meeting here today is not about the release of the junglers, but more specifically, I mean, about the amnesty granted to Sana Sabally. We are so disappointed, we are devastated, we are disheartened by the decision taken by the TRRC after all the hard work and the tremendous work that they have done in the work of the Commission. For them to only come up with a recommendation granting amnesty to Sana Sabally. Sana Sabally confessed to the killing, unlawful and illegal killing, extrajudicial execution of 11 innocent soldiers that were captured and in their custody, already in their custody. Sana Sabally confessed to giving, a command, to be in a command responsibility, and also to be, taking part in the shooting of the 11 soldiers that were, captured by them, that were in their detention. I think it is wrong, for TRRC, to grant Sana Sabally amnesty. We are calling and urging on the government through the Ministry of Justice to reject that recommendation of the TRRC. It is unacceptable, it is repugnant, it is a travesty of justice. So we condemn in the strongest possible terms that the victims' community they are not happy with the decision. We are disappointed. We will do further consultation with the relevant stakeholders, including the Ministry of Justice and the TRRC. We have an MOU with the TRRC. By all indication, I think the TRRC failed in their responsibility and their commitment to honor that MOU that we have with them. There should have been a consultation with all the victims-led organizations with regards to the drafting of the policy and regulations of Amnesty. But we have never been consulted. We engaged the Ministry of Justice a couple of months ago, I think about 8 weeks ago, with regards to the Amnesty Committee, with regards to the work of the Amnesty Committee and the lack of amnesty policy and regulations for a wider consultation for the victims community and the CSOs to have their input in that policy. I think it's a disappointment on the work of the TRRC. I think I will stop here.
Gannaaw buñ sante Yàlla di julli ci yonent bi ñu ngi sant suñuy waajur di gërëm it waa Victim Center. Sana Sabally man depuis bi mu testifyé lii lu ma séntu woon la because bi moo testify Sana Sabally li ko favor rek la doon wax li ko favor mooy moom li waxi yërmande la doon wax pour boppam waaye di defend boppam itam si ni ne ñële enemies lañ ci moom ba tax mu eliminate leen unlawfully waaye Sana li ma gën a métti si testification am bi mooy bi muy wax naan naka a snake when you cut the head the body is useless te snakes yooyu noonu muy wax mooy ring leaders yi di ay naka Basiru Baro Dot Fall ak ñeneen ñi ñooy snakes yi nga xam ne when you cut their head the body is useless loolu métti na ma trop ci statement yi naka Sana Sabally bi Sana waxu fi dara loo xam ne luy njëriñ victime si la lu ko njëriñ moom luy defend moom si boppam lu ko defend moom la fi waxu fi dara loo xam ne lu enu maanaa la Sana reykati nit la Sana moodara kuy ut moodara ba dajee moom nga wëñeeku ndig moom bu mag bi la ñun lii bettuñu di am nañ naxar nag torop am nañ naxar si lii torop sax waaye ñu ngi jël yëpp jébal ko suñ borom te dinañ ko yuuxu ba àddina bi yëpp yëg ne lii waruta am lii du waruta am waaye Sana su ko dara dal su justice Ministry of Justice defut dara pour Sana sax yàlla nga koy xaar si buntam bi nga xam ne benn la te ñëpp a fay jaar jërëjëf.
waaye dafa mel ni daal ñëpp benn kàddu bi la ñoo wax man dama feebar li man maa gis ni waaye démba mënumaa lekka the whole day lii bi ma ko yëgee waaye li ma doon wax comme Adama maa ngi lay doole sa wax ji naka drama bi nga doon wax noonu kii dafa play drama the same day ba maa jógee ci TRRC bi dafa am ku ma doon àndal mu ne ma kii affaire am dara du si génn te noonu la demee yow nit koo xamante ne rey nga naka 11 innocent boo xamante ne defuñ dara yow mi nekkal lead counsel sa yaram dawut ci loolu waaye kooku dafa toon nekkat naka victime nga toog janoo àdduna si yëpp nga ne kooku ngay jooyal waaye innocent yi nga xam ne naka doomi jàmbur te ñooñu ñooy hero seen famille man Bakar Mané lieutenant Bakar Mané ñanco mooy sama mag moom mooy breadwinner naka suñ famille bi kooku soo ko jëlee papam xalaat na ko ba yàlla jël ko sama yaa nga na lee naka wérul bul waaye loolu yëpp na mënta daw yaram lead counsel waaye sana lañ ko def loolu la toog jooy man keroo laa disappoint naka si TRRC bi te loolu wax naa ko fépp koo xamante ne dama dee waxtaanaa yow soo ne TRRC ma ne leen awma ci xub suñ organisation yi fi nekk nii di ñu jàppale boole ci naka victim center na ngeen jàppal loolu waaye man sama kaddu bi lu moo dem sana saabal man on behalf of naka Bakar Mané ñanco family baalaluñ ko tey baalaluñ ko ëllëg ba bëcc penca fi ñoo fekkee ji ñooñu ndi sana gënul ñooñu sana kaddu yi mu wax loolu sax tax na kenn warta jox naka sana ne dañ koo baalal ci dëkk bi sana yim fi def naka balaa moo rey naka 11 novembre gaa yi ñëpp gis nañ ko ci dëkk bi ah lii dafa mel ni saagala si ñun victime yi ak victime center ak suñ organisation yi naka man noonu laa ko gisee waaye man li ma leen a wax yéen journaliste yi wax ji na génn gis nga ñun nekkuñ jaami kenn te kenn bëggul nekk victime yàllaa ñu ko teg waaye maa ngi ñaan nekk victime yi tamit nañu booloo ñu doon benn ñu joxante loxo di wax benn kàddu su ko defee ñu mën a dëgëral lii nii lii sax ñi man li ma gis naka Mr Kijera lii dañu war a am pour ñu génn naka maaj wane suñ naxar ne lii waru fii am man toujours li ma deewan loolu mooy ne naka never again naka slogan bi naka warta nekk ne naka never again nga suñ jéemee ñi dañ ko war a jëfoo te jëfoo wuñ ko dañ am disappointment si TRRC ndi TRRC ñu nga am MOU naka victim center jéguñ ci dara sooy wax naka ñaari jongla si yuñ bàyyi na le soo ko seetee Mr Kijera li moo naka loolu mooy dëgga ay yow koo xamante ne mooy ndéem bi la kay oo nit ñi ne leen kaay leen ngeen rey diw kaay leen ngeen yóbbu diw kooku ñëw ngeen ne code boobu noonu musuma ratee sol baaji keroog biñ koo bàyyi mbokkam yi nii lañ taxaw naka di jubleet man dama taxaw fale naka di jooy den doon jubleet naka ma taxaw fale naka di jooy loolu moo war a am si dëkk bi man de pour man Fatou Mané dama ne loolu dafa war a jeex si dëkk bi te dafa war a jeex maa ngi leen a sant di leen gërëm ngeen baalal
money to, the victims that are meaningless, that are worthless. Imagine, giving $50,000 to a victim. Imagine compensating a victim who lost a loved one, $600,000. That is peanuts. That cannot even buy a compound for that person. I think that is nonsense. They have failed woefully, with regards to the letter of our MOU. It should have been the guiding principle, our rules of engagement with the TRS. They have never honored a single bit of that MOU. I think it is disappointing, it is disheartening to sit here and also hear stories on a newspaper front page about granting amnesty to a very, very, brutal murderer like Sana Sabally, who confessed before a commission of inquiry about taking command responsibility and about taking part in the shooting of 11 innocent souls that were captured, and in custody. I think that is very wrong.
So, Mr. Kijera, just to make a follow-up on that, because today the army is to hold another person and the two junglers to do this. I just want to know, as a victim center, what is your reaction to that?
Well, we are disappointed because we all expect that the junglers would have been put before a court of law long time ago. Yankuba Toure was tested in the court of law. I don't see any reason why they cannot put all these junglers before a court of law. So that shows the lack of competence, a lack of capacity with the Ministry of Justice. I mean, that they have continuously demonstrated that with a series of cases that they have lost at the High Court of the Gambia. We have seen, I mean, the case of, the General Solbaji. It shouldn't have happened. He should have been at least charged, and they could amend the charges as the case proceeds. So we are disappointed. I mean, I think the army, we can't blame the army. They did what is right. You can't continue to detain the two soldiers, continuously for 5 years without being charged. All the blame squarely should be on the head of and the soldier of the Ministry of Justice.
My question is, the Victim Center believed that the TRRC was here to promote impunity instead of addressing the issue of victims.
That is directed to who?
You.
Well, the TRRC was to, establish an impartial historical record about human rights violations that occurred during the period from July 1994 to January 2017, and also make recommendations, for those that bear the greatest responsibility, to be prosecuted, and also, to be as a healing process for the victims to heal, and also to be adequately compensated for all this pain and suffering that they have been through during the Jammeh era.
For me, as an individual, I'm not talking from the point of victim. I observed the TV and I was watching. He was facilitated by the way the TRRC also showed that emotion. They did not show it to any other person. It was only him. So I want to rest my case. Thank you.
Consistency, the consistent incompetence is what I would want to use, really, from my personal view. It's been really disheartening, and we would urge the minister, really, to put more effort, more work. And we know that there are challenges, but when the Gambia ousted Jammeh through voting, we gained so much, goodwill. We had so much goodwill capital. We could have banked on that to build our systems, because really, for it never again to happen, we need to make sure that we have the capacity to prevent this from happening again. We don't want another Truth Commission. We want this not to happen again. So I think there's so much that could have been done in terms of building. So we really urge them to take this seriously. I don't think, I know, and it is a known fact that there cannot be development without peace and stability in any country. And peace and stability starts with justice. Coming to your question regarding whether the drama that Sabally played at the TRRC, like Adama said, I am fully, in agreement with Adama. I am not surprised I'm disappointed by the granting of amnesty, but I'm not surprised, because from the day that I watched the TRRC's questioning of Sabally, I was very furious, because we know the competence in the legal counsel or legal team that we have, and how, with even very little evidence, they can break down a strong man. So to take Sabali's victimization and romanticize it to the point that, Sabally has to turn into a hero after he has really done what he has done, the atrocities that he has committed in killing people. And Sabally, how he was ruling. The time I graduated college and was working at the time that Sabally was vice chair. And Sabally was the most feared person in this country at that time. So to take his violation, which he was not alone, we have seen, Fatou Balde would be, I'm sure happy for me to say this, we have seen women talk about how they are violated sexually. And they continue using those words, alleged. But Sabally, everybody believed him when he said that he was sexually violated. But the women were questioned. And they took that and made it a big deal. So really, for me, I believe that the presentation and the good drama, like Adam puts it, I think that's a very apt description. The good drama that he played really has contributed to persuading the commissioners, because I cannot understand on what grounds they would grant Sabally amnesty. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Madam. I think I need a clarification. I want to know if the executive has consulted any one of you on any of the amnesty recommendations.
Which executive?
I mean the amnesty executive.
Okay. So we have said that in the statement, and we will share it when we said again, no, we were not consulted. The Amnesty Committee did not, we have consulted among ourselves and know that none of us has been consulted. We have not been approached. We have expressed our frustration around that and have around the lack of transparency in the process, but that still came to no avail. So we had never consulted with the amnesty policy, the application process, and anything else. And no single individual victim family, as far as we know, has been consulted. We're yet to have somebody come up and say that I was consulted. But as for the civil society, victim-led organizations, we have not been consulted.
For this other one, that came from the TRRC side. That is the only disturbing side I have, because I was having a full confidence on TRRC. So for TRRC also to come up with this kind of statement is so disheartening to the whole victim families. On the side of my brother, we all know Sabally. He's a mother, together with the good singer. They are all mothers, and they are young of practice. They are all mothers. So you cannot just leave Sabally to give him an amnesty in this country. Because definitely people are saying that Sana is a brave man. Sana has spoken the truth. To me, from my own perception, Sana didn't tell the truth on his own volition. Because why? He knows that he is also one time a victim. And if Sana don't tell the truth, he cannot explain his own personal audience so that people will know what exactly happened to him. That makes Sana to speak. If not what Edward did, that's what he also is going to do. So there is nothing like Sana has spoken the truth. And he shows no remorse for anybody. We all saw it at TRRC when he was speaking. He was speaking comfortably. So because what happened to him at my time, that makes Sana also to come. Tell us what exactly happened to him and what he did. So Sana is a criminal. He is a total criminal and he's a mother. People are saying Sana is brave. Sana is not brave. He's not a brave guy. Because if you see that Sana was running after people, so others are running away from Sana. It's because he was having guts who were having guns. Today, where is he? If I meet with him in the street, he cannot beat me and he cannot do anything to me. Even if I stand with him, if I don't hit Sana, Sana will hit me. But in those days, if you tell me hi, I'll run away. Because of what? The guns. Now he took these people, this innocent life, he took their life just on no ground. Just out of jealousy and hatred, because that's how I see it. They committed nothing. They committed no offense in this country. Everybody knows that. But just to see one day, make your own plan, you allege them of making a coup d'etat, which is not true. Where's the proof? Since the day one, they cannot show any proof to people that these people are staging a coup d'etat. So they just took this innocent life like that. We never forgive them. For me and my family, on behalf of my family, I will never forgive Sana Sabally and Edward Sinate and their gang of bandits. Because they make me not to complete my school, which is very dangerous. So, from my side, I will never forgive them. And Sana, let him know that this is a message for him. The journalists are here. I want you people to extend this message to Sana. Tell Sana Sabally that the late Cadet Ahmad Silla's younger brother, Mahmoud M. Silla, that's my name. I say that on behalf of my family, I will never forgive him and Edward Sinate. And let him know that death is imminent. Even whereas today they give him amnesty in this country. Sana's mind will never be at ease. That will never happen. Because he has taken innocent life. The day he was given those kind of orders, shoot them, kill them, and again to come to TRRC, face the whole world, telling us that those people are enemies. That is a very strong statement. He says those people are enemies of this country. So death is imminent. One day or the other, he will join them. Today, if this government give him amnesty before Allah, I don't think there will be amnesty for him. Because in the Quran, Allah says that if you kill one person, one moment, you kill him. It's like you kill the entire human race. My brother is a pious Muslim. We all heard it from Babakar Book when he was giving his statement. The time Sarah was given this order for them to shoot at him, he was reciting the Quran, a verse from Surah Maida. So that guy is a pious Muslim. You take his life like that. Sunday is a fula. We are Jahanka. He is our bantamate. That is, we are having a journey relation. So you cannot just pour down the blood of a Jahanka and you are a fula. You think that you're going to end up finally. Just only Sarah's enjoyment didn't pass 3 months. When he killed these people, his enjoyment never passed 3 months. He was also belittled in presence of everybody, taking him to Mile, tortured him there. He himself, from his own word, what they did to him at Mile. They almost buried him. They buried him alive. He says that. And they were doing all kind of nasty things to him. That is a small payment from him in this world. What Allah is giving for him in the next world, that also is there. Edward Singate, after committing all this kind of heinous crimes, he says he's going to study law. Let him back any kind of degree in this world. He can defend himself at any court of law in this world. But let's see, maybe before Allah, he can also defend himself there. Edward Singate killed people. And he's sitting at his comfort zone, thinking that he has gone. Let's go till the day. We never forgive them. And for this government, let us not expect anything good. Let the victim of this country never expect anything good from this government. If we are thinking that we're going to hear a good news from them, we are deceiving ourselves. Because we all know where we are going to. Even Edward Singate today, where he is, if he should come to this country and started shouting for Barrow, they're going to give him amnesty. Who is going to deny that fact? Are we not saying that? The thieves are here. The killers are here. All these junglers, if you don't mind, one day or the other, we'll see that we hear that they are all back to the army. If they are there to support them. So we should not expect anything from this government. For TRRC, they've already failed the victims of this country. Even their white paper that they are talking of, that they are going to give to the government. I am not expecting anything meaningful from it. Was given Sana Sabally and amnesty, that's terrible. That's my statement.
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom Yonna Forest de Bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi ma ni domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale di.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship, Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.